Ukraine gets and tests the German RCH-155 finally. December 29, 2025. Before we unpack this, and believe me, this is a huge moment for European security, a quick appeal. Subscribe to Defense Reports, your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports. I'm Alex. Join me with Ari in the latest deep dive by Defense Report for a sharp, no-nonsense breakdown of the latest in global defense news, military technology, and strategic developments. And today we're going to cover, well, the big news. Germany and the UK just signed a major joint contract for the cutting-edge, remote-controlled howitzer 155mm, the RCH-155. So our mission today is to really analyze what makes this system so revolutionary. We're talking about its famous fire-on-the-move capability and what its complicated deployment in Ukraine actually tells us about the future of European defense. This is really a story of technology being dictated by battlefield necessity.
It really is. And, the moment you look at the timeline, you see this huge paradox, right? It tells you everything about where defense priorities are.
That's it.
You've got two major NATO allies, the UK and Germany, and they're only now, late December 2025, signing a joint testing deal. It's for 3 demonstrator systems.
Just for testing.
Exactly. Meanwhile, Ukraine got its first RCH-155 nearly a whole year ago, back in January 2025. They're not testing, they're preparing to deploy.
That's a stunning contrast. It feels like NATO procurement is still on a peacetime clock, while Ukraine is, well, they're living in a different reality.
A brutal reality. And this machine, the RCH-155, is the direct technical answer to lessons learned in that reality, where mobility means survival. Kyiv's needs are basically setting the standard for all of Europe.
Okay, so let's dive right into that deployment reality in Ukraine. The RCH-155 is being called the gold standard, a huge level of automation, incredible speed.
It's more than just hype. It's a massive, massive commitment from Ukraine. They have 54 of these systems on order.
54?
And it's all fully funded by the German government. We're talking contracts totaling around 890 million euros. The first batch was ordered way back in late 2022, so they've believed in this for a long time.
And our sources confirm the first one was handed over by the manufacturer KNDS on January 13th, 2025. So that raises the question, if they've had the hardware for almost a year, why haven't we seen them on the front lines?
And that is the crucial hurdle. It really speaks to how complex the system is. Deployment has been pushed back more than anyone planned, and it all comes down to training, to operator readiness.
When you say training, I mean, we usually think of learning the fire control systems, right?
Yeah.
Aiming, loading.
That's the traditional way, but this is not a traditional weapon.
Right.
So the initial training for Ukrainian crews started in June 2025 under the EU's military assistance mission. And here's the key thing. They don't start with the gun.
They don't. What do they start with?
The chassis. They start with the GTK Boxer driver training variant.
So wait, they're spending months just learning to drive the thing.
Precisely. It's an 8x8, 36-ton beast of a vehicle. The training is incredibly intense. They have to master slalom, driving on torn-up terrain, handling extreme slopes, and maybe the hardest part, reversing with very limited visibility, all under simulated combat stress.
That seems almost backward. Why burn months on driving when that firepower is needed at the front right now?
Because if you can't handle the platform, the weapon is useless. The entire point of the RCH-155 is its extreme mobility. If that 2-person crew can't instantly stabilize that chassis on the move, that fire-on-the-move capability is just a theory.
I see. So that physical mastery of the vehicle is the foundation for everything else.
It is the prerequisite for survivability. For context, training on the PZH-2000, which is also a very advanced system, takes about 7 weeks.
And for the RCH-155?
It's several months just for the vehicle. It really is the most modern artillery system in the world, and that complexity just, well, it requires patience, even from the most motivated crews.
All right, let's talk about the tech that makes it worth all that effort. The whole shoot and scoot 2.0 idea. The headline feature is firing on the move at speeds up to 100 kilometers per hour. That's a complete game changer.
It is. And when you add advanced rounds like the Volcano, you're hitting targets up to 70 kilometers away.
So what's the secret sauce? How does it do it?
It's all about integration. The platform is the Boxer 8x8 chassis. It gives you the cross-country performance almost like a tracked vehicle, but with the speed and simpler logistics of wheels.
And the gun itself is an evolution of the one on the PZH-2000, right?
Exactly. It uses the Artillery Gun Module, or AGM, which is an advanced version of the PZH-2000's 155mm L52 cannon. But the really revolutionary part is the automation. The turret is totally unmanned, remote-controlled.
Which leads to a tiny crew.
A crew of just 2 people, a driver operator and a commander. Compare that to the 5, sometimes 6 you need for older systems, and it's incredibly efficient. It can fire up to 9 rounds a minute.
So what are the key features that let it do that so quickly and survive?
A few things. First, the magazine holds 30 fused rounds ready to go. Second, and this is critical for firing on the move, it has full 360-degree traverse, and it can load at any angle of elevation or direction.
So it never has to stop and set up. No stabilizers, no legs to
Well,
put down.
None. It's always ready. And the brain holding it all together is the autonomous fire control. It uses the same ballistic computer as the PZH-2000 and the software called NADK, the NATO Artillery Ballistic Kernel.
NADK, what does that do?
Think of it as a super fast brain that's constantly calculating the firing solution, even while the vehicle is bouncing over rough ground. It blends military-grade GPS with complex ballistics math to stay accurate when standing still is not an option.
So you have incredible firepower, high automation, and a well-protected crew. It sounds like it was designed from the ground up to survive in Ukraine.
It was, without a doubt. It's a direct answer to the lessons being learned every single day over there, where artillery survival is probably the #1 factor for success. The whole game has changed.
Right. We've seen Russia shift its strategy. They went from those massive indiscriminate barrages, what was it, 50,000 rounds a day at their peak in 2022?
Yeah, and that volume just wasn't sustainable. It dropped to around 20,000 a day by mid-2023. That wasn't just a choice. It showed a real strain on their logistics. It forced them to adapt.
So they moved from saturation to hunting.
Exactly. They built a very agile, very precise counter-battery ecosystem designed to hunt and kill individual Ukrainian howitzers, the so-called wandering guns.
And their main hunting tool is the drone.
Absolutely. They use a layered system of UAS, things like the Orlan 10, the Orlan 30. They are constantly patrolling, looking for muzzle flashes, thermal signatures, anything that gives away a position. And that's backed up by small, portable counter-battery radars that can detect a launch almost instantly.
So that window, the time between firing a shell and getting hit back, that kill chain has shrunk dramatically.
To almost nothing. The kill is often performed by a lancet loitering munition or a Krasnopol laser-guided shell. They can be on a target within minutes of its first shot. The old shoot and scoot where you fire, pack up, and then move is just too slow now. The second you stop, you're a target.
So the RCH-155 is basically in a race against the clock, measured in seconds.
That's precisely it. Its ability to reposition while it's firing and reloading completely changes the equation. It minimizes that window of vulnerability. By the time the Lancet drone gets to where the gun was, the gun is already long gone.
And it's worth noting, Ukraine has gotten very good at hunting Russia's larger radar systems, like the Zoopark, forcing them to adapt too. So mobility is key to exploiting those gaps.
Mobility is life. And the RCH-155 packages that mobility and protection into one system.
Okay, so we've established why this is so critical for Ukraine. It's a matter of survival. But let's bring it back to that paradox you mentioned. While Ukraine is field testing this under fire, its allies are just now formalizing a deal. What does this UK-German agreement really mean?
Well, for the UK, it's absolutely vital. This is part of their Mobile Fires platform program. They're looking for a long-term replacement for their old AS-90s, the ones they gave to Ukraine.
Right, they're using the Archer system as a stopgap right now.
An interim solution, yeah. They need a permanent one. And this new contract, the £52 million one, covers joint testing of 3 demonstrators. 1 for the UK, 2 for Germany, under something called the Trinity House Bilateral Framework.
What's that?
It's basically a fast-track agreement to speed up joint procurement between London and Berlin. The officials are all saying that doing it jointly offers better value and, crucially, speeds up the timeline by sharing test data. It's a major strengthening of their military ties.
And I imagine the Boxer commonality is a huge selling point for the British Army.
Oh, a massive win, logistically and industrially. The UK already has over 600 Boxer vehicles on order for their infantry. Using the RCH-155 means they can tap into that same supply chain, same training, same maintenance. It just makes sense.
And on Germany's side, this isn't just a small test purchase?
No, not at all. Germany is going all in. They have a fixed order for 80 systems in 2025, with another 149 planned for 2026. And the framework agreement they just signed covers a potential total of 500 systems. This is them future-proofing their entire artillery force for decades.
And there are big industrial benefits, too, not just for Germany.
This is maybe the most important part for European defense as a whole. The program rebuilds key industrial capabilities. For instance, the UK will be manufacturing the 155mm howitzer barrels for all the RCH-155s.
For everyone, British, German, and Ukrainian.
All of them. It's regenerating a UK manufacturing capability that was basically lost back in 2016. That provides incredible supply chain resilience for Europe, both for strengthening NATO and for continuing to support Ukraine.
So to pull this all together, we're looking at two key things. First, the RCH-155 is the direct technological answer to the brutal demands of the modern battlefield, a lesson learned in Ukraine. And second, this joint procurement is a huge practical step toward a standardized, rapid response artillery for NATO.
Exactly. The RCH-155 represents a shift, a move towards artillery defined by automation and networking, not just massed firepower. And I think the final provocative question for defense planners across Europe, who are all waiting on Ukraine's battlefield data, is this.
Go on.
How quickly will that real-time data force them to move beyond just testing and into immediate large-scale production? Will they finally start procuring at the speed of relevance to match the threat that's right on their doorstep?
You've been listening to Defense Report by Alex and Aria, where we analyze the latest in military strategy, global defense, and advanced weaponry. Subscribe to Defense Reports, your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports. We'll catch you next time.